I'd like to welcome you all to the April Watertown School District Board meeting, and I'll call the meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, under the item number 2 consent agenda, item 2.1 roll call. Please note Mr. Stein is absent this evening. Item 2.2, are there any conflicts of interest that board members need to disclose this evening? If not, item 2.3, a review and approval of the agenda. Could we have a motion?
I move approval of the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Moulton and second by Iverson. Any comments or questions on the agenda? If not, all in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 2.4 is to approve the minutes of the March 13th and March 20th meetings. A motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion by Lohr and second by Moulton. Any questions, comments? If not, all in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 2.5, we'll receive the financial reports for March.
Thank you. In the general and special education funds, we received the typical amount of taxes along with the regular state aid payment. The expenditures exceeded the revenue during the month as typical for March. The ending cash position reflects an anticipated decrease from the previous 2 years. Capital outlay had revenue exceed the moderate expenditures for the month with the typical tax proceeds receipted and moderate expenditures reported. The cash balance of $5.8 million includes approximately $200,000 in unexpended capital outlay certificates in support of the high school renovation. K-12 food service received $100,000 in other state support related to funding received under the USDA Supply Chain Assistance Grant. The ending cash balance in this fund remains at an appropriate level to support the operation. Operation and arena concessions, preschool, and custodial funds was routine. Driver's ed had activity pick up as tuition for the summer program began collection and brought in $23,000 in revenue. A reminder that the fee increased $20 from $330 to $350 per student. The Aero Education Foundation has again agreed to fund 75% of the tuition costs for students who qualify for free and reduced meals. LATC revenue consisted of $2.2 million in other state support, that of which a majority is related to House Bill 1031 and the funds received in relation to the Archway Building project. Funding was also received in the amount of $867,000 for state tuition assistance and instructor salary support. The expenditures exceeded the revenue for March as typical. The ending cash position of this fund is relatively similar to that of the previous year, considering fluctuations for construction in progress. Operation in bookstore, Educare, and LATC food service was moderate for the month of March. In the Employee Benefit Trust, the premium and administrative costs during the month of March exceeded the claims. The ending cash balance in this fund has declined, and an insurance premium will be necessary as we head into the 2024 fiscal year. I would be happy to answer any questions should you have any.
Mrs. Clausen.
Yep.
For unexpended $200,000 for the high school renovation. We're just wrapping that up. Do you think we'll be spending that, or?
Yes, that is in relation to the HVAC portion of the project for the
Okay.
food service department.
Okay.
So that work will take place this summer. So they're just kind of waiting for school to wrap up for that remainder of the project.
Very good. Thanks for clarifying.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no other questions on the financial report, we'll move to 2.6 with the student and staff recognition.
All right, I see we've got some students and parents here tonight. The first student I'd like to have come up is Jeremy Stout. Jeremy is a senior at Watertown High School, and he earned the highest possible ACT composite score of 36, a perfect score. Only about 1% of students who take the ACT earn a top score. In the U.S. high school graduating class of 2022, for example, only 3,376 students out of 1.34 million students who took the ACT earned a composite score of 36. Jeremy plans to study physics at South Dakota State University with the goal of becoming a nuclear physicist. He's also an Eagle Scout out of Troop 209 and enjoys playing the viola and the symphonic string orchestra and the string ensemble wire choir. Congratulations. Hold on a second. Got to turn this way. We get a look at you too. Congratulations. There you go. We also have some speech and debate awards tonight. The first weekend in March, the Aero Debate team competed at the South Dakota State Speech and Debate Tournament in Mitchell. Landon Whittle finished 5th as a quarterfinalist in the Lincoln Douglas debate. Lucy Walker and Josie Compton finished 3rd as semifinalists in public forum debate. Okay, those were our state winners. I see Coach Scott Walker back there. Congratulations to our state. And during February, the Aero Speech and Debate team qualified 4 students for the National Speech and Debate Tournament. That's in Phoenix, Arizona in June. Well, maybe been better to go in February, but we'll take it in June. Maddie McDonald and Noelle Dunn qualified in duo and terp, finishing 1st as the qualifier. Landon Whittle was a finalist in humorous in terp and an alternate to the national tournament. Lucy Walker qualified in congressional debate, finishing 1st in the final Congress session. And Aiden Calvert also qualified in congressional debate, finishing 5th. I don't even know what fifth is. 5th in the final session. So congratulations to our speech and debate competitors.
All right. With that, if you're not planning on staying for the rest of the meeting, this is a good time to sneak out. And we'll move on to the discussion items for Lake Area Tech. 3.1, is there any public input this evening on agenda or non-agenda items for Lake Area? Okay, if not, we'll move on to the placement report by President Anderson.
Good evening, Madam President, school board members. This evening I have a brief report to share with you, but a really important report. It's the measure of how our 2022 graduates did following graduation, meaning how did they enter the workforce or continue their education. And if Mike Cartney is ringing in your ears right now, you're probably hearing something like, we don't just look at graduation, we look at what happens to our graduates once they leave our doors. Success really is about placement. So Derek will have you slide into the report itself. There's some information up on the screen if you'd like to turn around and check that out. So again, this is for our 2022 graduates. 6 months following their graduation, we take a look at what has happened to them. Are they working? Are they continuing in their education? Are they serving in the military? Or are they still looking for jobs? And our graduates last year continued the Lake Area tradition, 99% placement. You'll see on the screen that about 80% of our graduates are currently working, and about 20% are continuing their education or are serving in the military. We just have 9 students that graduated last spring who are still seeking career placement, and there were 2 students, and from a rounding perspective it looks like 0%, but 2 students who graduated last year who are not in the labor market. And so out of the more than 700 graduates, 736 graduates from 2022, 11 total, who are not currently employed or continuing their education or serving in the military. So that is the standard by which we measure our success. We certainly want that number to be at 99% or better. As the report was coming together, there was 98% and really close to 99%, and as the report finished up, just crossed that 99%. So if I remember the numbers correctly, it's about 5 years in a row where 99% of Lake Area graduates are working and continuing their education. Derek, I'll have you slide to the next numbers here. So in the graduate survey responses, 95% of our graduates responded about where they're currently at. And of those who are employed, 93% of them are in jobs in the fields or the major in which they studied. 84% of them are employed here in South Dakota. So if you think back a couple of meetings, I think it might have been at the February meeting, we talked about the makeup of our students this spring. 20% of our students are coming from out of state, and 80% from South Dakota. And so when you see our graduates who are employed in South Dakota exceeding that 80%, that's a good trend line for us, that we're keeping more of those out of state students here in South Dakota, and they're finding good jobs. You can see at the bottom of the screen there that the average starting wage for our graduates from last year went up 83 cents per hour to $23.99 per hour. So that's just shy of $50,000 for their first job following college, which is a very good place to start their professional careers. Derek, I'll have you slide forward. A few more numbers to keep in mind here. 22, that's the number of programs that had 100% placement. So for 22 of our 30 programs offered last academic year, 100% of their graduates are continuing their education or employed. There are 11 programs that had 100% placement in their field in South Dakota. So think about the growth that Lake Area has experienced over the last decade plus. Lake Area graduates continue to find employment in their field in South Dakota. And so I just want to take a moment to commend the Lake Area Tech staff and all of the partners in industry who have worked really hard, that even through the growth of the college, they have scaled to make sure that programs are in the right places, in the right proportions, to ensure that our graduates find really great jobs following their time at Lake Area. And then last year there were 7 programs that had average starting wages over $55,000 per year in their first jobs out of college. So the highest earning program in 2022 were our graduates from the RN program. Those students averaged over $75,000 per year in starting wages. Med-Fire Rescue, electronics and robotics, energy operations and technicians, precision machinists, and our diesel programs also rounded out that top 7 of programs that had starting wages over $55,000. And then finally, I just want to make public recognition to Julie Mollenhoff and the South Dakota Department of Labor and Regulation. We want to make sure that we are accurately and in a valid way looking at our success over time and that of our graduates. And so we partner with Department of Labor, and they contact all of our graduates and get the information that gets boiled down into this presentation to share with you all. But having that third-party group reach out and be able to look at wage records and that kind of thing on their end allows us to ensure that we're not messing with the numbers in any way, and we're getting valid, reliable information back from our graduates. So big kudos to Department of Labor, particularly to Julie Mollenhoff, who helps us out with all of that. Madam President, I'll pause there. Any questions from the board? I'm happy to take those.
Does Build Dakota, doesn't that require a student to stay in state as a scholarship?
Yes, so the commitment with Build Dakota is 3 years working for a company in the field, or the Build Dakota program is eligible for the scholarship 3 years following graduation. So I think that is a contributing factor to that movement in the 84% of students who are studying here or working here in South Dakota after they graduate in their field of study. And last week the State Board of Tech Ed met, and we were able to share with them growth in another one of our scholarship programs called the Workforce Scholarship. It's very similar to Build Dakota. It's just for programs outside of the Build Dakota Scholarship, and it includes employers from both in South Dakota and out of state. 3 years ago, that scholarship fund was just over $100,000. This last year, we awarded more than $600,000 in scholarships out of that workforce scholarship fund, and it has a similar commitment to Build Dakota, where an employer is saying, we'd love to scholarship you and pay for your college tuition and expenses, but you'll come work with us for 2 or 3 years following graduation. So all of those are great opportunities for our students.
Thank you, they're both excellent programs.
Congratulations
Yeah.
to all those students, first of all, that were placed and are where they want to be. And congratulations to the staff and admin for helping get them there.
Yes, staff have been phenomenal, making sure that programs are well aligned.
All right, if there's no other comments, we'll move to the action items for Lake Area. And first of all, personnel, 4.1.1 retirements.
Thank you. We have one retirement listed in the packet this time, and I would ask for the board's approval as listed.
I will make a motion to approve the retirement.
Go ahead.
Second.
Motion by Laura, second by Moulton to approve the retirement. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 4.1.2, the resignations.
As of this afternoon, there was an update to this section of the agenda. There are 5 resignations listed, and I would ask for the board's approval as listed.
Okay, motion please.
I'll make a motion to approve the resignations.
Second.
Motion by Laura, second by Iverson. Any comments or questions on the resignations? Hearing none, all in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 4.1.3, the contract recommendations and addendum.
Thank you. There are a variety of adjunct and corporate ed contracts before you, and one part-time temporary contract, and then contract recommendation for a lateral move for an existing staff person. So I appreciate the board's approval of the contract recommendations and addendums as listed.
Okay, motion please.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract recommendation and addendums as presented.
And second.
Motion by Laura and second by Moulton. Any comments or questions? If not, all in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Then we'll move to the property items. Under that, 4.2.1, consider the agricultural land lease agreement.
Thank you, Madam President. Lake Area has a long-standing 20-year tradition now with Al Rader. He has leased a section of land, 45 acres of land to Lake Area for ag demonstrations and trials. And the lease agreement for 2023 is similar to or exactly the same as the 2022 agreement for a total price of $8,100. I'd ask for the board's approval of that.
Okay, motion please.
I move that we accept the lease agreement as presented.
And second.
Motion by Iverson and second by Moulton to approve the land lease agreement with Al Rader. Any comments or questions? Here.
I'd like to make one comment, and I think this is, it's really important to have the same land year to year because all of your records, your soil history. So a big thanks to the Raiders for doing that at a very reasonable price, and also for the consistency of doing that year after year.
All right, if no other comments, all in favor of approval of the lease agreement, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on now to the discussion items for 14-4. First of all, 5.1, is there any public input this evening on agenda or non-agenda items? Okay, 5.2 is the Northeast Technical High School report.
Yes, thank you. The Board of Superintendents will meet on May 2nd. And prior to that, actually, the board for Northeast Tech Board will meet on April 19th, 5:45. And then just to make an announcement, the Northeast Tech Project Day is actually May 3rd. I think the final is that 5:30 time. I should have that double check, but So don't forget to stop over and check out the projects at Northeast Tech that day. And if you want to put a bid in on some Adirondack chairs, seems like there's always a few of those to be had.
It's 5 to 6:30.
Thank you. 5 to 6:30 on the 3rd.
Okay, thank you. Move on to 5.3 and the elementary school update.
Thank you. When we last met at the special board meeting on March 20th, I mentioned that I would put together an update on just where we've gone since then. So in the meantime, we've been working on the possibility of a boundary for the partner school concept. We have met with the Boys and Girls Club to shore up before and after school possibilities with them, and have gotten some reassurances that if indeed the partner school concept is approved, that we would have at least the coverage we do now. From their end, there are some different possibilities with only having, for example, say 2 sites where there would be the upper grades. Same thing from an efficiency standpoint. Depending on what the outcome is, that there might be some possibilities for that. We've mentioned that there is a possibility of direct shuttle from the upper elementary sites to the Boys and Girls Club itself, rather than going through the intermediate school exchange. Just a reminder to everyone here and listening or watching in the audience, what was talked about at the March 20th special school board meeting on this was the concept that would involve a 3-year transition from the current setup of 5 neighborhood schools to a format of 2 sets of partner schools. That complete transition would be for the 25-26 school year, and in this scenario, McKinley and Millette would have the primary elementary sites. That would be pre-K through 1st grade. Lincoln and Jefferson would be the upper elementary sites with 2nd through 4th grade. So on one side of the, if we talk about a dividing line for the district, so you would have half of your elementary students on either side of that line. McKinley and Jefferson would be paired together. Millette and Lincoln would be paired together, and that would mean that Roosevelt would be the school that would be recommended for closure. That recommendation following a 3-year transition would be for the 24-25 school year, leaving Roosevelt open for the 23-24 school year. We are considering this, if we put it into a policy standpoint, like a first reading for the public, that is our intent for a recommendation to be brought back at the May 8th school board meeting for consideration for to vote on whether or not this is acceptable. And so part of the reason we are asking for the May 8th deadline is for planning purposes. So for example, if agreed upon for the plan to go into effect, that would mean that a couple of things that would be done for the 23-24 school year is that our early childhood programs, that would mean the early childhood special education preschool that's at Garfield right now, would transition into McKinley and Millette. Junior kindergarten at Roosevelt would transition into McKinley, Millette. And then we would also consider the Roosevelt kindergarten as one where we would probably not start a kindergarten class at Roosevelt for the 23-24 school year and incorporate them into the other sites so that they could follow along on the plan. The 3-year transition was put in. It was to help so that we had less volatility of either a student or a staff member moving for a year and then back for a year, that sort of thing. And the 3-year allows it to be smoothed out a little bit more and to come up with a little better ease with which we can do that. So what I probably need, so there's no action asked for tonight other than maybe an acknowledgement that we would bring this forward in May for consideration, which would then allow me to host a parent meeting with the Roosevelt families to discuss this further. Another piece that was shown at the special board meeting was we created charts for each of the 5 elementary schools that included to be shared for where your child would go to finish out their elementary career. And so Roosevelt, with that school being the one recommended for closure, it would be a little more pertinent for us to meet with those families and have a little more in-depth conversation about that, because the other schools look a little more on the path of either the current students that are there finishing where they're at, or in the case of like McKinley and Millette, they would be able to hop in on the partner school concept in what's the recommended fashion. So they're a little more straightforward. It's the Roosevelt families that we feel we would need to have a little more in-depth conversation with. And we would like to do that prior to the May 8th school board meeting. So I would stand by for questions or thoughts.
Does anybody have any comments that you'd like to make or questions for Dr. Danielson? I know he's kind of looking for an indication. This is a first reading, moving ahead. First of all, I want to thank people that have reached out to myself and I'm sure other board members since the time of the March 20th meeting. There's been some very good feedback again, and continue to bring it. And I am in favor of continuing on the time frame that we're looking at. I think the admin has put in a lot of work to make this logical and worthwhile to keep considering.
I would agree with your statements.
We have a budget meeting coming up later this month where we'll be looking at finance as well. There's many factors that go into this decision. It's not a light decision. So we've all been keeping track of multiple variables and ideas, and we've been listening deeply.
I might add this, sorry.
No, go ahead. No.
The survey link is still active, and we did add there's a link off the website for information on the plan. So if people have not taken a look at that, it has the slides from the meeting, and you can still contribute to the survey link.
Okay. If there's no other comments on that, we'll look forward to discussing that again at the May board meeting. Moving on next to the action items. First of all, 6.1, approval of the bills. Could we have a motion?
I move approval of the bills.
Second.
Motion by Moulton, second by Lohr. Any comments or questions on any of the items in the bills? If not, all in favor of approving the bills, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now 6.2 under personnel, we'll start with retirements.
Thank you. Just one retirement this month, and do recommend approving this retirement.
Okay, motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the retirement.
Second.
Motion by Lohr, second by Iverson. Comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 6.2.2, the resignations.
List of resignations in front of you. You can see we had a few additions since last week. We also have one today to be noted. Dr. Jennifer Heath resigned as Director of Special Services at the end of the year.
Okay, motion please.
I'll make a motion to approve the resignations.
And second.
Motion by motion by Lohr and second by Moulton to approve the resignations. Any comments or questions?
And any note on the extra duty only resignations, those are open pending suitable replacement.
Okay. Okay, all in favor of approval of the resignation, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And 6.2.3, the contract recommendations and addendums.
You can see we've started to hire for next school year, so that process is underway. And just we recommend the approval of the contract recommendations and addendums as presented.
Motion, please.
I will make approval to approve the contract recommendations and addendums as presented.
Second.
Motion by Lohr and second by Iverson to approve the recommendations and addendums. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the property items, 6.3.1, authorize continued participation in the ASBSD's workers' compensation coverage.
Yes, the district requests to continue participation under the coverage of associated school boards. The renewal proposal came in at a 1% increase to that plan, as well as a $50,000 share of stabilization reserves for rate relief. Just a reminder to the board that a December 1 deadline is in place to provide board approval of written notice of intention to seek bids for the subsequent coverage year. So this puts our total price for work comp for next year at $144,169.
I move that we accept the proposal.
And second.
Motion by Iverson and second by Moulton to authorize continued participation in the work comp coverage from ASBSD. Is there any comments or questions on that? Hearing none, all in favor of approval, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Under 6.3.2, we are considering school bus bids.
Yes, it is recommended to authorize the bids received from Harlow's Bus Sales Incorporated under a Sourcewell cooperative bid for 3 seated 65-passenger buses in the amount of $125,000 and 1 seated 72-passenger bus in the amount of $126,353. The buses are not anticipated to be received until July of 2024, and therefore we are requesting to purchase 2 years' worth of transportation cycle to keep up with demand and ordering. These funds are noted in the 5-year capital outlay plan.
Okay, motion, please.
I move approval of Harlow's bus bid as presented.
I'll second.
Motion by Moulton, second by Iverson to approve the school bus bids. Any comments or questions?
And I maybe have asked you this before, Heidi, how long do we keep our buses in service?
We typically look at a mileage factor, and that mileage ranges from anywhere from 100 to 150,000 miles. And that's for both the transportation fleet, just the regular Suburbans, and the buses.
It makes sense to keep purchasing each year, otherwise we get stuck with an outdated fleet and a huge bill.
Yes.
Thanks for checking on that, because I'd asked also.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got the motion and the second to approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 6.3.3, consider a Suburban bid.
Yes, it is recommended to authorize the bid received from Dave Haler Automotive for the purchase of a used 8-passenger vehicle in the bid amount of $54,500. The Suburban met specifications of a used Suburban with mileage under 35,000.
I move that we accept the bid from Dave Haler Automotive for the Suburban.
And second.
Motion by Iverson and second by Moulton to approve the Suburban bid. Any comments or questions on that? Hearing none, all in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to 6.4, approve the South Dakota High School Activities Association membership resolution.
Yes, this is our annual authorization to remain a member of the South Dakota High School Activities Association, so recommending your approval of this so that we are in the South Dakota High School Activities Association again for the 23-24 school year.
Motion, please.
I move approval of the membership resolution for South Dakota Activities as presented.
Second.
Motion by Moulton and second by Iverson. Any comments or questions? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 6.5, we have another calendar update.
We do. We did miss a day here in between board meetings. My recommendation is that that be made up on May 31st as a staff day only. And I say May 31st as the placeholder date, but we would work with staff because we have a number of trainings that are in the works that would probably qualify for filling that day. And that would be the only recommendation for this time, but just to also alert the board and anyone listening that if by chance we would have any more days, would recommend June 1st, June 2nd as staff-only days with anything. If there would be more than 2 somehow before the May board meeting or before the end of the school year, that those not be made up. So all that is being asked is to amend the calendar to have May 31st as a staff day only.
Okay, could we have a motion, please?
Move approval to approve the calendar update.
Motion by Lohr,
Second.
second by Moulton. Any comments or questions on this calendar update? If not, all in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And I would just remind, this was a previous amended update, but April 21st is a full day for students and staff. That was previously a 12:30 dismissal, and that was amended last month to make Friday, April 21st a full day of school.
Okay. Item 6.6, student enrollment requests.
There are no open enrollments for this month.
Okay. And the 132810.
Yes, we have 1/13/28/10 for your approval.
Do we have a motion to approve, please?
I will make a motion to approve the 13/28/10.
Motion by Lohr,
Second.
second by Moulton.
Pick one.
To approve the 132810. Is there any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor of approval, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. And we'll move to communications and 7.1. First of all, the administrative report.
Yes, I want to make it, just so the public knows, we are having a Think and Drive Stay Alive assembly on Wednesday, April 12th. So you will see a mock accident out front for juniors and seniors. So if you see first responders or a crash on Wednesday, the 12th, so 2 days from now, that is a planned mock accident. So just to not alert anybody, so we are thankful for the help there. I already mentioned April 21st is a full day. Also, unfortunately, with the winter weather conditions up here, Watoma Relays has been canceled for the year. That was originally supposed to be in Webster, and because of their field conditions, have already canceled. That's correct, Mr. Boyens. And then the Northeast Tech Project Day, 5 to 6:30 on May 3rd. And then we need to set, we had originally set April 24th as our combined joint budget meeting for Lake Area and K-12, but it sounds like we have some conflicts with that date for our board. And so we are asking for Monday, May 1st, if that would work.
Okay. Everybody can take a look at their calendars and get back to Dr. Danielson or myself.
Yes, and then we would have to publish that one in accordance.
Okay.
But it would be 5:30 p.m. right here, Monday, May 1st is what we are recommending administratively.
All right. Then next on the agenda is 7.2 and board report to the superintendent. Is there any items for that? Okay. I guess I will report that my seat is coming up for re-election, and I do intend to run again this year. I know I had indicated earlier on that I was possibly going to not, but I'm still in it. So I'm hoping that that will go well. And anything else?
I think Lake Erie has a big luncheon coming up.
Mm.
Monday, 11:30 a.m., the governor's luncheon is happening. So we invite folks to join us. It's the major fundraiser for scholarships for the school. So if you'd like to attend, seats are $40 each, and you can RSVP this week with the foundation.
Okay, good. Any other items on the board report? Okay, if not, that concludes the regular part of our meeting, and next is an executive session to discuss negotiations. We need a motion to go into executive.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Iverson, second by Moulton. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There's no action after the executive session, so we thank you for your attendance this evening.